Welcome to the Redvee TV show, supported by Chapel House Cars for the 2024 season. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, David.
1979. Nearly as old as you, since Saints last lost 6 in a row in the league.
Yeah, that's even before I was born, that is some record to match, wouldn't it?
Yes, let's hope that this is not what the weekend holds in store for Saints, but we will get on to that in a minute. Should we start with some criticisms as critical friends, or are they just or are they just moans?
Little bit of both, I think. Little bit of both.
Okay, right. First of all, we're going to start with Gillette. Why do they not produce a child-safe razor to stop me chopping my face apart?
Just grow a beard.
Paul Sculthorpe, have a word with your ex-sponsorship buddies.
Does this
You're
mean
ruining the face of Redvee?
Have you got to go to Wilkinson Sword now, the ones behind the little gates, just because you can't shave yourself?
I'm never going to learn. Never, ever going to learn. I'm going to have to grow a beard like yours, Kev. By the time I'm 60. Right. So that's Gillette told. It is indeed a Redvee Hullabaloo.
Yes.
Magic Kit weekend, or Magic Weekend Kit, however you want to say it. We spent all of last week's episode. Kit comes out. We'll do a bit of promotion on here of it and show it off. We wax lyrical about it, say how great it is, how it's going to sell in massive numbers, except it's not, because we haven't ordered enough of them. Child kits sold out in less than 24 hours, and as I've just looked, extra small, small, and the extremely large sizes have all gone already. I just don't get it. It feels a little bit like throwing money down the drain, and I'm sure there's some who are going to say, well, the club have sold what they've ordered. That's great. We've made a certain amount. Is that accepting mediocrity when you could have sold 4 times as many if you'd done the research in how well this kit would go properly?
I think, they've covered themselves by saying it's limited edition, but if you're putting every community club on there, you're obviously going to get kids from them community clubs wanting that shirt. It is so obvious. It is just so obvious. I don't work in retail anymore. I did 15 years in retail though, and if somebody had come to me with that kit, I'd have been like, "We need to get more in here. Absolutely need to get more in." Because of the pull of it. It is special to kids, to clubs. The badge is next to the Saints badge on that shirt. To your question of, is it accepting mediocrity? To some extent, yeah. I think you should be looking at the bigger picture. This sport isn't a wash with cash. It's not a wash with money. And it just feels like we're turning it down. We mentioned about this kit being out earlier in the season and getting it out there and using it a little bit more. I think Saints miss a trick there, really do. We've said it for a couple of years now, that we do miss a trick by not wearing a shirt like this over and over and getting money into the till. I know that the sponsors may change over the next 12 months, so you might not necessarily have some of the kind of smaller kind of back or sleeve sponsor on there, so you can't necessarily carry it over into next season as a third shirt. But yeah, you think, why have we got to this stage? Why have we got to the stage that we've only ordered so many? If you're doing a pre-order for it, if you're doing a pre-order, that should set your numbers, and your limited edition should be, if you don't pre-order it, say for example, we sold 150 large men's shirts that are pre-order, but you could only order them in batches of 100, so you had to have 50 in the club shop. That's what you do. That is exactly what you do, because then you'll get people on walk-ups going in and buying it, especially if you're using it again. It feels a little short-sighted.
I feel like we knew when Magic was since last November. Why is it everything come so late? Why isn't this done a month earlier? So you could have said pre-order numbers. We're going to do the pre-orders the middle of June or start of June if it takes 6 weeks to produce a kit. If you will be guaranteed a kit if you order it by mid-June for delivery at the start of August. You could do that, or you make it the alternative third kit. You bring it out in March. You state then it's going to be worn at Magic and might be worn at an away cup tie should you get one during the year. You can still order your X amount of shirts that you would have ordered now, but when it's sold out within 2 weeks in March, you then think, right, we need to go and do another batch. Whereas now they're probably too late, aren't they?
Yeah, and when you could wear it. As we've worn the black shirts at home this season.
Could have worn that.
You do community day.
Yeah. With all of those clubs in the away end, with X amount of tickets. For your Summer Sizzler, which we'll get onto in a minute, you could have done it or give them tickets, cheaper tickets for that. It just seems, if my lad played for Blackbrook Royals or Fatto Heath Crusaders or anybody else on that shirt, I absolutely guarantee he would have wanted that shirt immediately.
Yeah.
And you think how many kids in this town play rugby league? Every single one of them would have wanted that kit. And there's an awfully large amount of children in the town who are now very disappointed that they can't get the kit. And not only that, it's one of the better designs we've had in recent years. I can understand, like, when we have other things that don't sell well, kits that may not necessarily sell well, when the same stuff we've had every year. Like, there's only so many variations of a Redvee you can do. There's only so many plain black away kits you can do. But when you get something that is pretty different like that, it's going to sell in numbers, and it takes a bit of market research, and it feels like we've just flushed money down the drain.
Unfortunately, yeah. Can't disagree with you.
Right, that's that one done. Next one.
Next.
Saints Summer Sizzler. The Hull KR home fixture has been rescheduled for Saturday, the 24th of August at 3 p.m. And it's due to Sky deciding with 3 weeks' notice that they want to put it on the Saturday. Don't know why they couldn't have said this weeks ago, given every game is televised anyway, but we are where we are. The club have done ticket offers. I think adult tickets start at £15 in certain areas, children starting at £5. But we've had people coming to us on our social media, said they bought tickets in the last couple of days at £26 full price, or being told bought the tickets in the last couple of days for the Friday evening, been told it's now on the Saturday, can't attend, and been told tough, no refunds, no discount, put up with it. And it feels like there's only so many times you can annoy elements of your fans before people are going to come along, and in the future they're just going to turn around and say, do you know what, I'm not going to give you my money in advance.
Yeah,
I'll wait till the week before to make sure that the game's not been moved. I just don't understand. Let's say we've got 7,000 season ticket holders. This game might attract 10,000 if we're lucky. Maybe 1,000 Hull KR fans, so 9,000 home fans. How many home tickets have we sold for this game in over 3 weeks' time? A couple of hundred. How many of that couple of hundred probably can't attend on the Saturday now? A handful, potentially.
Yeah.
Why not? For an individual match ticket, why not just give them a refund, because you'll pick up them sales with people who now can go on the Saturday, and as a gesture of goodwill, offer a refund for the difference between what they've paid for a ticket and what they are. It's just, it would gall me if I was a loyal fan who has gone and bought an individual match ticket and feel that you're getting shafted.
Yeah, because people can't afford to go to every single game. Get that? People can't afford to buy memberships and put that money up. The world is a place that doesn't necessarily allow as many people as we'd like to be able to do that. And you just think that in a town like this, there would be that little helping hand back, that little nod towards that.
Look
Game
after
on a
your fan base.
Yeah, game on a Saturday. You know what? People want weekend games. We see people saying, "Oh, wish we played a couple more times, especially on a Sunday." I don't think it does. It clash with Everton?
No, it does clash with Manchester City playing at home. And I think Liverpool might play at lunchtime.
No, I think Liverpool play on
The next day. Don't think Everton play. The thing that the one argument that I won't accept on this one is from season ticket members, season ticket holders who are moaning that it's moved, because you buy your season ticket before the start of the season, you're fully aware that games can move throughout the year.
Yeah.
But if you're buying an individual match tickets, and I get the argument that they've been on sale all year, but I'd imagine most will have bought in the last week or so.
Yeah.
If the game's not been moved by the end of July and the club have got the tickets on their website on sale and the game has been said to be on the Friday evening at that point in time, you'd expect if you go and buy an individual ticket, it's going to be on that date. And yeah, it doesn't sit right. But listen, the club are potentially going to lose out maybe a little bit on corporate potentially, because I know corporate goes better usually on a Friday night with the businesses in the town. And good on them to try and increase numbers by making it a bit of a family event on the Saturday, and get bigger numbers in. But just look after the fans who've loyally gone out and bought their tickets in advance, I'd say.
Yeah, the hands are tied, obviously, with Sky choosing it. But yeah, just look after. I think that's all people want. Look after your fan base. We talk about the connect between the club and the fans, and as quickly as something is built up, it can also be eroded, and you've got that disconnect, and you don't want that to happen.
Yeah, for the small amount of finance that you might lose by with a gesture of goodwill, you're going to ensure that you come back and buy a ticket in the future.
Yeah.
Right. Moans done. Anything else?
I think we'll see.
Good job. Everything's rosy on the pitch, Kev. Nothing to moan about here.
I don't know kind of who's in worse nick here. Yeah, 5 changes to that 21 after the humbling at Lee against a very, very prolific and deserved Lee outfit. Jack Wellesby obviously drops out. Matt Percival and Johnny Lomax both suspended. George Delaney and Leon Cowan also to miss out. With Joel Batchelor coming back in, Morgan Knowles as well, Jake Burns, T. Ritson, and Will Roberts.
First of all, the bans we'll talk about. Percy's ban.
I think it's harsh, but I think the current way that it's going, I thought it was harsh after seeing it on last Friday, but with the way that the game's going, nothing surprises me anymore.
The thing that gets me about that one is, if it's just hitting a man late off the ball after he's passed, all right, we've seen it. You can't give late hits. But he's almost committed to the challenge because he thinks Moylan's going to get the ball. Moylan has missed it, not deliberately. He's tried to put hands on it, and the ball's gone to ground. At that point, when you actually watch it, it looks like Percy actually goes to pull out and doesn't go with his full weight of his body through it. He puts his arms out, and he goes into Moylan and knocks Moylan over, but he almost apologetically tries to pull him up straight away.
Probably shouldn't have done that. See what's happened to Sims this week with his ban.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't try and pick him up. But at Moylan, to Moylan's credit, he didn't make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, he got straight up. Should players be sat in the stands for that though?
Well, I think that's just currently the way that, and it's frustrating, but it's currently the way that the game's going.
Johnny Lomax, 3 games.
Yeah, Johnny Lomax never faced the tribunal. Gets hit with one that I think, if you look back to Ben Harrison, I was speaking to a Warrington supporting friend of mine, and his words were, I don't see too much difference between the Harrison one that he got a red for, and then 2 games, and that one of Johnny's. It seems strange that it's been a grade E, and I'd like to almost hear the reasons why it's a grade E compared to something else. I'm sure the minutes are out there somewhere, probably hidden by cowards. But why it's a grade E and 3 games when he's got such a good kind of reputation with the disciplinary panel. He's not up there. Are these kind of blessings in disguise with them carrying potential knocks and just refreshing them? Possibly, maybe so. Giving Percy having an enforced week off might just mean that he's a little bit fresher when we're going into playing Salford and then Wigan at Magic. But you want to see your best players on the park, and I think Percy's been one of them throughout this tough time. I think Percy's really stood up, and it's a shame that we're missing him, and it's a shame we're missing Johnny. It just means another reshuffle, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does indeed. £1,500 fine. I don't think I've seen a bigger fine all year.
Well, Sim's got exactly the same for picking an injured player up.
Where does the money go?
Don't know.
Interesting to note that there was an article that came out this week from an esteemed journalist who said that the RFL are looking to make job cuts because they're struggling for money.
Fair enough. Need to work harder then, don't they?
Yes, but it looks to me like Johnny, he stood up, he goes to make challenge, he raps.
I don't think.
Have we been penalised again for another player who was for the injury suffered rather than the challenge?
Possibly. I'm not saying that Johnny shouldn't have been banned, by the way. Because again, I think you do that stand-up tackle and you go head on head, and you're always going to see a ban for it. So I'm not saying that he should be playing this week. He probably should be sat down for a week, for a couple of weeks. But it's just strange how it's that little bit more. It probably that to me sounds to sense that maybe it is. Maybe let people make their own decision on that.
Yeah. Should we get on to the teams that we would pick, Kev?
Yes. Yeah. Why not?
You want to go through yours first?
Yeah, I can do. Because I think ours are pretty similar, to be fair. But yeah, I've gone with obviously Robertson, Makinson. I've gone Vaughan and Davis in the centres. I'm not entirely sure Wello will do, but I've just gone with them. Benison on that left wing because after last week, I think you need to put a message out and say that type of performance isn't acceptable in a Saints shirt. And buying Dodd, obviously, halves. Whitley, in coming back in after injury, he's had his run out now to start. And I've gone with Knowles and Batchelor on the bench because they're coming back from injury. But I think we're going to have to use Morgan Knowles more in the front row. Or that's what I'd do. I'd use him more in the front row. And we need to be spelling Matty Lees as well. Because with Jack Wellsby picking up that injury after having played every single minute, I do start worrying about Matty Lees and Darryl Clark and James Bell, Curtis Simon, and people who've been in there and played an awful lot of rugby recently.
Yeah, I think the only difference between our 17s is you've gone Jake Burns and I've gone Will Roberts. Now, the only reason I've gone Will Roberts, and it's probably we've probably gone similar reasoning here, why you've gone for Burns as well. I've gone for Will Roberts to get a game alongside Lewis Dodd and the halves on the basis that I want to see Moses and by spelling Darryl Clark at hooker because we just cannot keep flogging him for 80 minutes at 9 every single
Yeah,
week.
yeah,
And I don't want to have the disruption of moving Moses out of the halves into play 9. Obviously, your solution to that would be to give Jake Burns some game time, which
yeah,
is equally understandable. In terms of my back line, I want to keep Harry Robertson at fullback, Makinson on the wing. I thought Johnny Vaughan went well last week when he came on. I don't think Ben Davies did very much wrong at all. Some of the stick again, he gets. It's almost like he has become the whipping boy, regardless of how he plays in any given game. Ben Davies is going to get it. When do you know what? For his position in the squad, I think he's a solid backup
yeah.
to come in.
He was a squad number in the 20s for a reason. This season, that he was it for a reason, and he played three different. Well, he played both centre positions and lone half back at one point. And I'm
Put the
surprised we
best
didn't
kick of
get
the
more.
game up.
Yeah, exactly. He did. He did. And you know what? If we do start getting injuries, there's a little bit of wiggle room, I think, in both those teams that you can start moving people around. And I'm while I'd go with that team, I actually did one that I think, well, I'll go with, and it might be a little bit more pragmatic, where Matt Whitley might well play centre. Morgan
Like I said
Knowles
last
is
week.
like, yeah. But I think this might be,
Yeah.
it might kind of be the one. I'm trying to go on patterns. I
Yeah.
just think Vaughan would be on the bench if he went with Whitley in the centre, because Vaughan is kind of the next cab off the rank. He's moved above like a couple of other players there. I know a couple are injured as well. That's kind of level down at the late 20s. Late 20s, early 30s numbers. And I went with Morgan Knowles at 13, with James Bell sticking in the second role as what I think Wello will actually go with. I don't think he'll go with the team that I picked.
Yeah, I think it's obviously very much what we would pick. I know that we've both left Wonga Blake outside of the 17.
Yeah,
Quite frankly, I'm not bothered or would not be concerned in the slightest if we didn't have to play him again this year. That performance last week, it wasn't fit to wear the shirt. Didn't look interested. Poor in every aspect of the game. And you know what? We've sat here so many times this year debating Wonga Blake, T. Ritson, and John Bennison. And I think we've pretty much come to the conclusion that we don't feel any of them are a long-term solution to be the starting winger for Saints. But when I look at the three of them, if somebody's going to make mistakes or not play as well, I'd rather it be the man who's putting the effort in and looks like he cares. And that's what elevates John Bennison into the team for me. And I think that's just going to rate him above T. Ritson on ability, because I also feel T. Ritson puts the effort in
yeah.
and just isn't quite good enough. So I'm off the
I've
fence. John Bennison's my winger now till the end of the season.
I've also included John Bennison in there because you know what, we might need someone to, if we do get a bit of an injury and we need John Bennison to drop in at fullback and Harry Robertson to go in the halves or something like that, you can do that. He's got that ability to play a couple of different positions. I think if you're dropping Lewis Dodd for a couple of weeks, sitting him down and want him to come back stronger, then you've got to do that with Blake. I do think that you've got to do it with him. No one is bigger than the club. I don't care how much money you're on. I don't care if you're a quarter player. I don't care if you've come through the system and you've been at the club since you were 8. Doesn't matter. Sometimes just lessons need to be had by taking them out for a week. And we've said in the past that you can see why Wonga would potentially be given a new deal, because he's integrated into the squad. We know what he can do. But these past couple of weeks, they've been a steady kind of decline in the quality that I expect from a quarter player when you think there's probably people that we could bring in who would be chomping at the bit for a chance.
Yeah. I just feel when the going gets tough, Wonga's hunched over with his hands on his knees.
Okay.
I'm being brutal. I said early on in the year he wasn't doing it for me. I think I got conned for a few weeks when things were going well, and he's the sort of player when you're scoring loads of points wants to be the big cheese, but when the going gets tough, he hides.
I think, to be fair, I think he got fitter.
Yeah.
I think
So what's happened then?
Yeah, exactly. So what has happened? If he's playing with an injury, why are we keeping going if we've got two lads who are fit? Because
Another
it's not
potential option for you, Kev. And listen, I don't think this is likely, given that when we experimented with John Bennison at fullback, and we changed after 15 minutes. I forget which game it was, but you could go John Bennison at fullback, T. Ritson on the wing, and Harry Robertson in the halves.
Yeah, you could do. Yeah, you could do.
That's a lot of changes, isn't it?
It is a lot of changes, and I think that we're trying to get Harry the game time at fullback, and the lad. Yeah, we keep saying it, and you can't duck away from it. Keeps making a couple of mistakes, but the lad is learning on the job in tough circumstances. And you look at the try that he set up on Friday. I mean, the wherewithal to just look up when he's been caught by a couple of lead defenders, to look across, knackered after he sprinted, and put an inch perfect ball for Ben Davies to dot down. I think we're just trying to get him that game time at fullback. Could he move into the halves? I've absolutely no doubts. But for now, let's not try and make every single position a brand new one every single week for these players.
And that's what might keep Will Roberts out of the team.
Yeah.
I've gone Knowles at 13 above Bell, because I think we lose an awful lot of James Bell by him not coming on as an impact player. I think that is his best role. And I agree with you. I think Knowles will spell prop, but I think that's where Bell goes to 13 and Knowles gives Matty Lees a break.
Yeah, I think you can keep rolling your props then a little bit more. You've got a more fluid roll of your props then. I do actually think I will go with Knowles at 13. I think he'll start him because I think he's your vice captain, so he comes in.
He'd be your captain this week, wouldn't he?
He would be, yeah. So I think he comes in and starts. But I'm going from, if I'm picking a team, I'm looking a little bit more pragmatically at Knowles and Batchelor coming back after a good couple of weeks off and not wanting to thrust them in from the start. I want to get them the minutes by not having... With the way that it's going, there's no doubts that within 3 minutes, one of them two will be on the park and playing the rest of the game.
Yeah. I agree with Joe Baxter on the bench as well, because do you remember, I think he came back from injury last time. I think it was against Leeds in the Cup, and looked really unfit. Saying that, I think the tackle stats in that game, I still think he made about 40 odd tackles, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Top tackler. The one thing I do want, before we kind of move on, one thing I do want is us to know what the leadership group is doing and who the figurehead of that leadership group is if Morgan Knowles isn't on the field. Because when Johnny got sin-binned, and obviously Jack Wellesby had gone off, Morgan Knowles wasn't obviously in the 17. We were looking around on the park at who's the captain now. Just if Darryl Clark puts his hand up and says, "Right, I'm being captain. Yeah, I'll make this decision now or whatever." Fine, not bothered. Absolutely not bothered.
Like kids on a football pitch fighting over the penalty.
Yeah. But if whoever it is, whether it's Matty Lees, whether it's Tommy Makinson, whether it's Moses, whether it's Darryl Clark, whether it's Lewis Dodd, I don't care. As long as someone takes control of it while Morgan Knowles isn't on the park, because he will be captain when he's on the park, just someone take hold of it, because there was at one point that we were looking around going, who's making the decision here?
Surely, if out of that team there, if Morgan's not on the field, it's Tommy Makinson.
You could go Tommy Makers, you could go Darrell Clark, as I say. You could go Moses because he's an experienced player. You could go Curtis Sirenen. There's a number that you could do who are probably all part of that leadership group, but just one of them. Just one of them. If it's someone in the middle and Darrell Clark's on the pitch, make that decision, Darrell.
Will things get better this week, Kev? Because we are playing lottery numbers.
Yeah, I was surprised with these. I mean, this smacks of Huddersfield when Kieran got sacked, when they were playing high numbers. These are absolutely off the park, aren't they? There's only 3 changes to the 21-man squad, were Liam Sutcliffe, King Vuniyawa, and Legisau drop out. Leon Ruin, T-Chan and Will Kirby come into the squad, but they are missing a shed load. Again, they're missing quite a few. Danny Houghton calf, Jack Ashworth ankle, Mitieli, I always get this one wrong, Vuliki Japani knee injury, Davy Litton, Nick Stavely, Charlie Severs, Kobe Wadehouse, Jed Cartwright, all on. I've got the screen up here so I can actually just read the names out. All missing. Herman SAS has been given time to prove his fitness because he's currently carrying a knock. Tom Briscoe didn't play against Castellan, but should be playing this week. He had a family issue. So they've been all over the place as well. This is the 2 tramps in a ditch fighting over a cold bag of chips.
Yeah. Saints are favourites with the bookies by -2, which said, I don't know whether that says a lot for Hull or says a lot for us.
Yeah.
You'd say Hull are still favourites given the actual team's form in recent weeks.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that if that was level on the handicap on the betting, then you'd say, yeah, I'm absolutely fine with that. Or if Hull had a bit of a start, absolutely fine with that. I just think it's probably one of them that is the toss of a coin at the minute, with us going through such a bad stage of form and fitness. Hull being a bit more in form, but having players down to number 51. I don't think I've ever seen the number 51 take to the field in a professional game.
Somebody's going to dig out a number 51 now.
Hopefully so. Do it. And also provide me with a 49 as well as 46.
All right, Kev, it's not an order and a takeaway.
Sounds like it. But yeah, it's. I think it's going to be a tough one for us, and I can't go on Saturday as well. So I'm gutted. I am gutted I can't go, because this is the type of game that I love going to and getting behind them. But unfortunately, life gets in the way.
I am Carlos at the weekend, so I will not be there.
No.
And people know what I'm like on a coach.
Yeah, I certainly do. Yeah, even back from Old Trafford.
Yeah. Spewy McDuck. Don't do coaches. So the instant reaction will be from the comfort of this Zoom channel immediately after the game, and you'll be glad to know at least you'll be able to hear us. Do you know what? The amount of people who moaned about the mic, by the way, I had to put it in the comments. I put it in the comments saying, I know the sound's rubbish, but at 11 o'clock at night after filming for half an hour, we weren't going to do it again.
Oh, absolutely not.
We will buy a new mic. You have our word for it. Are we finished moaning?
Yes.
Good.
Saints by 8.
I've gone by. What have I done us? I've done us by 8. You know what that means, Kev?
Hull by 12.
Hull by 32.
Yeah, probably.
Yes. Hopefully the fans will stay behind them at the weekend. I thought it turned a little bit in that first half against Lee. Though, and I've seen Welland's comments about it being a lot on social. It's just blustered on social media. And listen, social media is amplified,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't disagree with that. But I think it would be remiss to not realise that this is the same. A lot of the same fans who actually stand on the terraces. There was chanting at Lee for him to be sacked in the morning. There was chance to Lee very early on that we were going to lose 5 in a row. Like, what's the word? What sort of humour, Kevin?
Gallows.
Gallows humour. There you go. Couldn't think of the word. I didn't want to say. I was going to say Gaelic humour. That's not
No,
right.
no.
Gallows humour. I don't like that. I don't like that sort of humour when you're getting battered. I want you to either sit in silence and fume or get really angry. And I say that as
You're not the boss of them
no,
fans.
no. This is a very personal opinion. I base that on being an Everton fan,
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
and I don't like fans who are getting battered every week and decide to go away from home and do a fancy dress competition to look at us, we're wacky because we're getting beat every week. No, you've got a right to be angry. You've got a right to fume. Support your team as much as you can, but if you're not happy with what you're seeing, give them the silent treatment at times. But
Yeah.
don't take the mick out your own team. For me, that's my opinion on it. But yeah, what do I know? Not a lot. Actually, I know a lot about losing the sport Everton.
Yeah, you do.
If you think this is bad Saints fans, you've seen nothing.
True.
I think this season, were Everton at one point the only team in the country who hadn't won a game in all the European top leagues or something like that.
Something like that.
And we still survived, so there's hope. Yeah, right. Mo. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you didn't like this episode, moan in the comments. Guess what? Okay, catch you soon.